I am very glad to share with you the good news that from now on, from this year on, I am going to load the previous question papers of grade 11 as well as grade 12 on my channel. Because I like to do things the correct way, the straight way, I asked permission to DNA, and actually, let me just make it a bit smaller, to the permanent secretary, asking her if I can, on my channel, put the previous question papers where I do the workout solutions and I explain to students. And I got permission from Mrs. Steenkamp, who's the permanent secretary, that I can do that. Okay. So this is just sharing you the information. I also want to show you another thing before I'm going to start with the question papers. So that is the letter. The other thing that I want to share with you, because in the question papers, I'm always taking you back to the mathematics textbooks y=mx+c, because that's what the channel is all about. So this is the brochure, which is telling you more information about all the different textbooks as well as the different posters and everything on it. The second page I want to share also with you, because you can also go, and I want to show it here to you. You can go, and I want even to make it a bit bigger. Okay, I'm just going to move it up. Okay, so you can always go also to my website or press on that QR and also get more information and the prices of the different textbooks. And then the last one I want to share with you, let's just go to documents before I start with the question papers, is that this is the bookshops that buy books from me on a regular basis, which you can go to find a copy of the book if you don't have a copy. This Waltons, this is Ours Valley. I usually, when I'm in Windhoek, I just check and I usually see books there. So you can just go and find. Otherwise, just ask them if they can order it from head office. Then the book 10, Silent Investments. This is more in Windhoek. I think they have Amalia. I think they have in the north also. And also recently, Namkol Bookshops is also buying from me. So you can go and check if you find the textbooks there, y=mx+c. Then Kavango Bookshop, that's in Rundu. Bookshop of Namibia, that's more in the north. And then Roka Stationaries, I think this is in Kavango, Katima Malilu. And even the Wundu Bookshop, I think that they are in the Wundu. You can also try to find a copy of the book in that different bookshops. Okay, and now we are ready to start with the question papers. I decided that I will always post the question papers in the beginning of the last holiday before, not the last, maybe the second, a short break before the fourth term. Okay, because that's a good preparation then for the students to prepare them for the final examination. In this video, we will look at the question paper Mathematics Advanced Subsidiary Level, Paper 1 of 2021. Let's start. I'm just going to make it bigger so that you can see better in the video. Very important. This is a fill-in paper. You must write all your calculations in this space, and please write the calculations down because you can get marks for steps even if your answer at the end is incorrect. Okay, let's start. Find the first three terms. Now, I always like, as I'm reading, I'm underlining. So it's the first three terms, and it must be in ascending powers of x, and it's of the expansion 1 minus px to the power of 6. So I will already know that this is the binomial theorem. Okay. Now what I'm going to do when I explain the question papers and when we do the question papers, I'm always going to try to take you back to the textbook just to refresh your memory. So let's go back to the textbook y=mx+c. the AS-Level textbook. Now, I was looking at this example, and you will find this example on page 85. And it's example 43, and it's of chapter 2. Okay, the binomial theorem. So let's just make it bigger. Okay, there it is. So in this, I say find the first 4 terms in the expansion of this. So it's a plus 2b to the power of 8 in descending powers of a. Okay, so in the previous one, they said ascending powers of x, but that was only that one. Let's first do it. We will see at the end if it's correct. Now, they also give you at the back of the question paper, they give you formulas. Now, it's very important because you are stressed, maybe you can make very unnecessary mistakes in exam. So please go to your formula sheet, because they write the binomial theorem on it. And let's just quickly refresh your memory. So this is the binomial theorem or expansion. There it is. Now, I will show you now in the book. Now, in this one, it's just the first term to n. But can I just show you why it ended up into that? Because actually it was, and I can write it here on top. It was, you take the first term, let me just get my pen correct. You take the first, okay, let's just do it like that. You say it's n 0. Okay, that's the first term. I'm now with this blue one. Okay, I'll show you now why they leave this out. And then it's the first term there, and then it's n minus 0, okay, and it's the second term, and it's that. So that is the subtraction and that. But very important, n0 will always result into 1. So that will be actually just 1. Okay, this is going to be a n minus 0, so this is just going to be n. And anything to the power of 0 is 1, and that is the reason why the first term is just the first term, okay, to the power of n. Okay, the second one, then I start n and I put a 1. And remember, it's always that you subtract that 2. So it's n minus 1, do you see there? And then the second term, there is the second, grab that sign always. The second term will just be that bottom, and in this case, it's just 1. Okay, can I just show you the last one? Why? Because the last one will also be, it's going to be n, okay? And then it's the first term, and I subtract this 2, and then the second one to that. And again, n is going to be 1, and this is a to the power of 0, which is 1, and in it's bn. So the first term will just be to the power of n, and the last term will be b to the power of n, and that's why they leave it out. Okay, so that is just refreshing your memory, but let's go back. Okay, I'm back at the question paper. Okay, let's just open. Okay, so the first term, and I'm showing you everything here, although it's not necessary, as you can see from the formula. So the first term, because it's an 8, I'll just show you. Okay, let's just make it a bit. There is the 8. So due to the fact, okay, I'm a little bit big now, but it's 8 minus 0, okay? I want to show you that it's 1 now. And then it's the first term, 8 minus 0, and the second term, it's to that one. Now, if you press on your calculator, let's search for that button, NCR. So if you press on your calculator 8, NCR 0 equals, you will see that you get that 1, and that's the 1. And then it's the first term to the power of 8. And I'm just for saving time, I'm going to leave out this when I do the question. So it's the first term to that power, and then the second term will also result into a 1. Okay, but I want to show you the second one, and then I will go back to the question paper. Just make it a bit smaller. Okay, so let's just go. So for the second one, I'm going to say there was a 0, now it's 8, 1. Okay, so 8, 1. Then it's the first term, and I subtract that 2, and then it's the second term, and just take note what is the second term. There is this, always grab your sign. Okay, so it's the second term, and it's just going to be that 1. And now, if you press on your calculator 8, NCR, search for that button, 1 equals, you get 8. And this is 8 to the power of 7, and then it's 2b. And then you can simplify it at the end to 16a7b. Okay, this was just to refresh your memory because you are doing revision now for examination. So I just showed you, and it's in the textbook on page 85. But let's go back to the question. Now, and that's why I say, if that was in your memory, then the question was very easy. Okay. So you can see, you saw from the formula. So just to spare a little bit of time, I'm just going to start, and I'm just going to say it's going to be the first term, and now this is just 1, and it's just to the power, and remember that power is 6. Okay, then the second term will be, and now I'm going to write it as 6, 1. Remember the first one was 6, 0, but you don't have to write that. So now it's 6, 1, and I take my first, which is 1. There is my first term, do you see? So that is 1, and then I say 6 minus 1, okay? And then I'm going to take my second term, and please remember to write that sign in, okay? So don't make the mistake. Write the sign, grab that sign. Otherwise, you have to, you can make mistakes. Rather just do it in the calculation to see what it will be. Okay, and remember, it's to that 1, so it's going to be 1. Now, if you see your space is not enough, you have enough space there. So let's just go, because they actually just want from me 3 terms. So I think the first one can also fit in if I just go a little bit smaller my writing. So it's 6, 2, remember, and then it's 1, and now it's going to be 6 minus 2. You can already just subtract it. It's not necessary that you write it like I'm writing it out. Okay, and that, well, please just don't go over your paper as long as you, and please also don't write actually here what I'm doing now. So I think I rather want to teach you the correct way. So it was enough space. So I would rather just say, okay, just continue here. And it was 6, 2. And it was 1 to the power of 6 minus 2. I subtract this. And then the second term, please grab that sign. And then it was just the bottom, which is 2. And now, because I wrote it like this, I can now put the equal there. Okay, so this one is going to be 1. Then this one is going to be, I can simplify it a little bit. Okay, take your calculator. So press on your calculator. Can you remember what I said? 6, and then that NCR, and then 1 equals, and what do you get? You get 6. And then 1 to the power of 5, that will just be 1. And now this one, remember, there's one negative stripe, so it's just negative px. Okay, I will now simplify it further. Now for the videos, I'm going to show all the steps. But if you want to leave out the step and you don't think you're going to make mistakes, leave out the step. But for the video's sake, I have to put in all the steps. Okay, so and then the next one, remember 6 NCR and then 2. And then that your calculator will give you 15. And then this was then just be, okay, this was 1 to the power, I already worked it out there. So it was 1 to the power of 4, which is just 1. Okay, okay. Just because I wrote now that one, I just want, this was actually to the power of 5. But you can already write 1. And then this was negative b. Okay, now please don't make mistakes. You can already bring it in. I think I'm writing too many steps now. It's my first video, so let's just go. I could have already, I think I wanted it already to simplify it there. Okay, sorry. Okay, so if this is negative px times negative, so there's 2 negative stripes. So if it's an even number, so it's going to be positive, but it's going to be p to the power 2, x to the power of 2. Please, it's to both. And then if I simplify this, I'm just going to say 1. And now, do you see a positive times a negative is negative 6, and it's px. And this is just positive, so it's nice. 15, and then it's p to the power 2, x to the power 2. And now they're saying in the question paper, and I'm just going to try to show you also where they give marks. So in the exams, they are just going to give the marks like this. 1 for every correct term. Okay. So if you were doing that, 1 mark off for each incorrect term. So if there was one incorrect, you would have only get 1 mark. Okay. So it's actually not 1 for every term. If there was 1 incorrect, they subtract 1. Okay, so that's but at the end, it was just 2 questions. So then you had to do, and please take note of the signs. Okay, and now this is very, very important in an examination, that you always see if in question B that A cannot help you. So if you look at this question, it's given that the coefficient of x squared, now, as I said, I like to underline the coefficient of x squared, okay? Now remember the coefficient, if I look at this is the coefficient, do you see? So the coefficient is the number in front. So of x squared, and x squared is the term, in the expansion, now I want you to take note. Do you see that that part is the same as that part? That's very important. Is 0. So the coefficient is 0. So that number in front is 0. Now find the non-zero. This is also very important. Always underline. I would always say you can quickly read the question and then read it again and just underline. It's just going to take you 1 second or 2 seconds to make sure that you don't miss information. Now again, I'm going to first take you back to the question paper. So let's just take you back to the question paper. Not to the question paper. I'm going to take you to the textbook. So let's just go to documents. And I'm going to the textbook. And I think I saw this question which is going to help you. It will be on page 89 in the AS-Level y equals mx+c mathematics textbook. Okay. So just make it a bit bigger. And it's again just to refresh your memory that I'm doing this. So find the coefficient of x squared and x3 in the expansion. Okay, so in this case, this is, if you do this, so again they write first the general formula. I want to show you there. Okay, so the general form is, because it's 6, that's why it's 6. If it was 8, then it would be 8. So and it's r. Okay, so you don't know what term you are. And then it's 2, so they take the first term, so it's 6 minus r. And then they take the, remember, grab that sign, negative x, and they take that r. Okay, so for x squared, now this is very important that you know, for x squared, then r, so x to the power of r, so it's x squared. So r will be 2. So it's going to be 6, 2. Okay, and now if you do this, this is the first term, 6 minus 2. And then the second term there, minus x2. And then, okay, so you get this. But this is not really the one I want to show you. I want to show you this one. I want to show you how they make the connection between A and B. I just showed you, and you can do the same principle to get that term. Now find the coefficient of x to the power 3 in the expansion. So if you look, you will see that that is the same as that, but they bring that extra bracket in front in. So what do? I'm just going to do it like this. I'm just going to say, okay, it's not a problem. There's the bracket. Why did they let me work out that too? Because it's going to help me. Now I must focus every time to get x3. That is what so I must see how I must multiply to get. So if I write, make your dots, it's this in front and this at the back. But if you take x to 1, then it must be multiplied with a 2. That's why I multiplied with the 2 to get x3. And there is just 1, so it must become x3, so I multiplied with x3. So I'm getting that 2 terms that will be simplified because they are like terms. And then I see the coefficient, the number in front. Okay, and that is the principle. And as I said, you will find this on page 89 in the AS-Level Mathematics textbook. Okay, let's go back to the question. Okay. So, if I go back, and I want you to show you here, I need just this. I'm just going to use this information. So, I'm going to start, and I'm going to say, okay, let's write the bracket out. So, it's 1 minus x. Okay, but now, I'm just going to write down that 3 terms that I already worked out. So, I'm going to say 1 minus 6px plus 15p squared x squared. Now, that would be sad if you didn't work this correct out, because then this answer will also be incorrect. Okay, but now I must focus x squared. So I must think, when will I get x squared? Now, I will get x squared if I take, this is just 1, so this one must be multiplied with the x squared. And I will get this one if I take this one and I multiply it with this one. So let's just do that calculation. So if I multiply this one, I get 15 p squared x squared. And if I take note of your signs, I get positive and 6 px squared. Okay. Now, I'm taking x squared out as a common factor. So let's just do that. So I'm going to get 15. It's just taking it out at the back. P squared plus 6p. Okay, and the term is x squared. Okay. Now if I read the question again, what am I saying? It's given that the coefficient in the expansion is 0, meaning that's the coefficient in front of x squared. That's the coefficient of x squared. So basically, I'm saying that 15p squared plus 6p, and that is equal to 0. And I'm just solving the equation. Now, this is a quadratic, so I can take out a common factor. So what will I take out? I will take out 3p, and it will be 5p plus 2. And then I put this equals 0, so 3p equals 0, or 5p plus 2 equals 0. And then I will get p, because divide 3 is 0, or, and if I simplify this, I just take that, I'm doing a long, p is minus 2 over 3. But I read my question. It's always good to read your question again at the end, just to make sure you are doing the correct. Find the non-zero value of p. So if you just leave it like that, you are telling them that can also be the answer. So it's always good to say not applicable. That one is not applicable. So therefore, and you can end by saying that 3 little dots, therefore p is equal to negative 2 over 3. Okay, negative 2 over 5. Oh, I hope let me just check if that, I think I said 3, but it was supposed to be 5. Let's just correct it. I think this green is too light. So negative 2 over 5. And if you get marks, you will get mark for this one, coming to that 2 terms, and then putting it equal to 0, okay, or something like that. There around you will get a mark, and then showing that this is the answer, because they don't want the 0. So you have to identify, this one is not applicable, this is the one that they are looking for. And that is how you do question number 1. Let's look at question number 2. And again, I'm just going to make it a bit bigger so that we can read better. Okay. The diagram shows a parabola with minimum point 1 and negative 3, and then the x-intercepts negative 2 and 4. Find the equation of the parabola. Now, there's 2 methods to do it. Because they gave you the turning point, if they gave you another point, say that point, I think there was only be one method. But because they gave you this turning point as well as the x-intercept, you can do it on two methods. And I want to show both methods to you. Okay. Now, again, I want to take you first back to the textbook. So let's look at the textbook. Okay, here's the textbook. And I think both methods are here. Let's just make it bigger. Let's make it bigger again. Okay, let's look at the first method. Now, as I said, if they are going, and again, in the textbook, in the AS-Level textbook, you will find it in chapter 1 on page 24. Okay. So basically, if they give you the x-intercepts and another point, it can be the turning point, but usually if it's another point, then you use this formula. So you put an a, and it's x minus the first intercept, x minus the second intercept. And you just basically substitute. Remember to substitute in bracket, and then you take the extra point. So in this case, if this is, it doesn't matter. Just don't take that 2 points again. Take any other point. Okay, and then you substitute. Say I took the turning point, I think, here, and I get -2. Or I took that point, and remember that point, it's very important that you write it. It's 0 and 6, okay, and there I wrote it, and I get the same answer. And then you don't have to multiply it out. You can just basically stop there. Okay. I want you to show you the other method also. Now, this method is if they don't give you the x-intercepts, but they give you the turning point. So, determine the equation of the parabola with a turning point 2, -1, and cutting any other point, the y-axis at 3. So, then you use this formula. Can you remember this formula that we were putting it in that format? We can read the turning point from that format. So because of that negative, it's changing the sign. So just remember that formula. Now that's the x value of the turning point, and that's the y value of the turning point. So I basically just substitute it there. And now I take just the other point, and just again remember that this point is 0 and 3 there, and I substitute and I get the value of a. And again, I can leave it like that, or I can just multiply it out. But you will see in that example of the exams, it's quite difficult to multiply that out. Okay, but let's go back to the question. Okay, it's next one. Okay, so let's start. I'm going to start first with according to me, the easier one. So I'm going to say, okay, so it's y equals a. Now this is just a formula. It's not necessary that you write it down. You can directly start with this step. And I'm going to, because I showed you the formula. And then it's x minus, and this is a positive. So this will work perfectly. Now you can simplify it a little bit, just not to have so many brackets. So just take note that this becomes +2 and this is -4. Okay. And now you're just going to substitute the extra points. So you don't have to write it. I usually just write the point here for myself down. And I just remember this is my x and this is my y. So in the y, I'm going to put -3. And it's a. And I'm going to put, and don't forget to put your x value now. So it's 1. You can put it 1 plus 2. And in this case, it's 1 minus 4. And I'm just going to simplify this. So this is going to be -3 equals a. This is going to be my 3. And this is going to be my -3. And it's -3 equals, and this is going to be -9a. And I'm going to divide by -9. So therefore, I will get a is equal to 1/3. And I'm just going to, and I'll show you where, it's like you're just going to substitute it in there. Do you see? So I can end up by saying, okay, now I want to keep to blue. So therefore, y is equal, and you can stop there, 1/3, and then it's x plus 2, and it's x minus 4. Okay, Now, according to me, you will get all your marks. You will get a mark, say, coming to that step, putting the x-intercepts in correctly. I can maybe just take red. And then you will get a mark substituting the point in correctly and getting that value. Okay, but I want you, because I'm showing you all the methods which I can think of, so I'm going to also show you the next method. Or you can do it with the turning point. So let's start. So please, let me just repeat this. Don't do both methods in the exam. Choose one and only do that one. I just show it both methods because some people will prefer another method or the second method. So in this case, I'm going to start with that formula. And I think sometimes people forget maybe this formula, and that's why they prefer the first method. So this is for the turning point. And because of that negative, the sign change. Okay, so the turning point, what was the turning point? It is 1 and negative 3. There is the turning point, 1 and negative 3. And I'm just going to put it in. So y is equal to a, and I put that turning point, so it's x minus 1. Can you remember when we were reading it down, we were always changing the sign. Okay, so that's why it would be 1, positive 1. Okay, so, and then plus minus 3. Okay, and now, and again I'm going to show you both, but it's just for explanation. You can put in this point, which is going to be negative 2 and 0, or you can put in this point, which is going to be 4 and 0. It doesn't matter. Okay, so let's just in that. So if I take the point, negative 2 and 0, and I put it in, I'm getting, remember this is x and this is y, so I get 0 equals, and now I'm just going to put the a, and it's going to be negative 2 minus 1 square minus 3. Now, I think I'm not going to show you the other one. So you could either also put 4 and 0. Now, I must be honest, I think I should have rather go for the 4 and 0, because then I leave out the negative values. But let me go for the more difficult one. Okay, so this is going to be 0, and this is going to, and don't forget that it's square. So it's going to be negative 3, and then it's square minus 3, and that is going to be 0 equals 9a minus 3. And if I move this up, I'm going to get 3 equals 9a, and I divide 9, so I also get that a is equal to 3 over 9, which is 1/3. Okay, and you can end up, and I want to show you just for calculations, because I saw in the memo that they also take this correct, and I want to show you how they came to that answer. So it's y equals 1/3, and then it was going back to that step there. Can I just show you? To that step. So I put the a in. So it's 1/3, and then it's x minus 1 square minus 3. Okay. Now, as I said, don't multiply it out. But I saw in the memo that they, in the report, that they also take this correct. And I want to show you how they come to that. Because if you multiply it out, it's actually quite challenging. Because you have to multiply it out like this. Where you say, first I take this and I multiply this bracket out. Now I'm doing the short way. So it's x squared. I multiply. So it's negative x multiply 2. So it's negative 2x. And this is plus 1 minus 3. And that is going to give me 1/3. And that's going to be x squared minus, okay, can I show you here? You cannot bring the minus 3 in. You must first take you must first multiply this in, and then you can simplify the constants. So you're going to negative 1/3. You're going to get x squared minus 2 over 3x plus 1 over 3 minus 3. Okay. And then you can simplify this further, and you're going to say, okay, now I'm going to get 1 over 3 x squared minus 2 over 3x minus 2 and 2/3. Okay, but now comes the trick. If you take out a third here, and this is why I said don't multiply it out, please just leave it like that. Let me just, what is now going on? Leave it like that. That is correct. You will get your mark, your final mark there. So you would have, I will show you now. I'm interrupting myself now. So you would have got a step for putting it in there, and then you would have got a step for substituting the point in there, and then the final. So stop there. But if you want, you could have do. Now I'm taking a third out. Now if I take a third out, I must every time divide. So then I'm getting x squared. Okay. If I divide negative 2, 3, divide the third, I get negative 2x. And now here comes. If I divide negative 2 and 2 over 3 by a third, I get negative 8. And I just want to show you, if especially for teachers, if you're looking at the report or at the mark sheet, you will see this question. This question is also, they say, except this also, but it's the simplifying of this, and really, this is unnecessary. Just stop there. I just showed you. Okay. I want you to look at the next one. Okay, and this question, okay, I'm just going to make it bigger. Okay. I said solve the equation. This is x to the power of 4. Now, there's not exactly, it's taking a little bit to ordinary level because this is difference between two squares. But maybe just to refresh your memory a little bit, I can take you to the book, and I want to show you where I can take you. I can take you to the AS-Level Mathematics textbook. I just want to show you where it fits in the syllabus. And then I will do it. It's where equations which can be reduced to quadratic form. Now, sometimes it's usually that it's x to the power 4 and then x to the power 2. This is on page 12 in the AS level, y equals mx plus c, mathematics textbook. And then it's almost like you can make it k, or you can just do it directly. And this is what I'm going to do with that one, just directly. And then so it can be reduced to quadratic form. And so let's go back. And this is what I want you to have in your mind when you come to that question. Okay. So here it is. So think of factorization. So if you're going to think, I'm just going to say, okay, this is difference between two squares. So it's x2 minus 9. Do you agree? And x2, this is coming from ordinary level, factorize. Okay. And basically that's what I did. And now I put this equals 0 and I put this equals 0. So I get x squared minus 9 equals 0, or x squared plus 9 equals 0. And I want to show you this very good. So this is x squared equals 9. And I want to show you that this one, because it's negative 9, you cannot take the square root, so reject. Okay, so don't continue with that one, but continue with this one. Now, I was reading the report, and this is very, very, very important, and I will keep on saying this to you. If this is an even number, there can be two options. So if you're going to, you must not forget to write the plus minus. Okay, there can be a positive option because let me just write the answer, plus minus 3, because 3 times 3, positive 3 times positive 3 is 9, but negative 3 times negative 3 can also be 9, and that will only be if there's an even exponent index. If it's to the power of 3, you do not write plus minus, and I will show it later in the question paper, but please, if you see an even index, don't forget to write your plus minus. It's not coming from there. That one is rejected. So if I want to end, I can say, therefore, x was positive 3 or x equals negative 3. But that would also be correct. Okay. Now, this is also a very, very important thing. As soon as they use the word henge, it's almost like they are saying you must let A help you in B. You must look. It's almost like in question 1, which I said, oh, let in B, let A help you. Always. So always look up. Oh no, it's yes, it can help me, or no, it's nothing to do with each other, because that can also happen. But in this case, if you look, you see, and I want you to see this. Now, I first want going to just clean this here, and the reason why, because I want you to focus. I want you to see this is to the power of 4. And then I want you to see that this is minus 81, 0, 0. So if you look, you will see that this, so it's x to the power of 4, this bracket to the power of 4. So you must make this connection between these two. You must say, oh, I can see from this that x is equal to square root a minus 4. Okay, because further they are exactly the same. And now I know the values of x. So I can now take this information to help me here. So I can go and say, okay, that's easy. Then I put the 3 and I form my two equations, because remember, it's not just positive 3, it can also be negative 3. Or I can say negative 3 and I put that. And now I'm just going to solve that. Okay, so I'm going to, if I'm solving this, I'm just putting this, and I can take, and this is 3 plus, it's going over, so it's 7. I could have swapped it around, but it's fine. So A, and this is, and now remember it's plus, so it's negative 3 plus 4, so this is 1. Okay, and then remember, I'm doing the opposite here. To get rid of that square root, what do I do to get rid of square root? And I just want to show you. So if you have, okay, let me say, if you have A, that is actually meaning A to a half. Now to get that half, to make it 1, I square it, because then it's 2 over 2, which is 1. Okay, and I just showed you for explanation that part. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to square that side, square that side, square that side, and square that side. You don't have to write it. Okay, I'm just showing you. So therefore, I'm going to get, okay, now my thing is, I'm just swapping the sides. So I get A is 49, or I get A, I'm swapping the sides, 1 times 1 is 1. Hence solve the equation. Okay, the unknown A is 2. So that was really not so difficult. So you would give 1 if you come to positive 3 and negative 3. And then if you continue, if you make that connection, as I said, always if they use henge, look up and see if you can get the connection. If you make the connection, you would have gotten mark, and then for the 2 separate answers. And that's how you do question number 3.